someone from the Nightmare Court? And you survived?
I did. Others didn't.
What are they like?
Members of the Nightmare Court are cruel. They're capable of terrible evil. When you're near them, you feel nothing from them but cold emptiness. When the Nightmare Court was stalking us, it was the darkest night I've ever known.
You must have been terrified. How did you get away?
We ran faster than those who didn't.
In the brilliant light of noon, a petal moved. A pod opened. A Sylvari rose, stretched, and hesitantly entered the world. The 12 firstborn, called by their mother's summons, stood breathlessly to greet their new brother. They had lived for so many years alone, believing that they were all the Sylvari would ever be. And now the awakening had begun again. Other pods in the garden moved softly, gaining ground but not yet ready to open. It was the first flowering of a new generation. "Welcome, brother," Aif greeted him, always the first with a question or a smile. She approached the stranger, holding out a cloak so he could wrap himself. "Do you know us?" another broke in. "Did you dream of us?" "Hush, Dagonet," Aif shushed her overeager friend. "You'll frighten him." She turned to the sapling again and spoke in a gentle tone. "Like you, we are Sylvari. I am called Aif. What is your name?" "Name?" The newcomer considered the question for a moment. At last he said, "Cadian," but his tone was uncertain. He took the cloak and pulled it about his shoulders to ward off the sun. "What is this place?" Aif smiled and tousled the Sylvari's hair, sending soft black willow fronds dancing around his shoulders. "This is the grove, and she," Aif gestured toward the massive tree beneath whose branches they gathered, "is the pale tree. Our mother. Your mother too." Cadian regarded the tree curiously, finding no strangeness in the explanation. With a nod, he looked at Dagonet. "I did dream." The scholar brightened, snatching up a scroll and a quill. "Tell me of your dream. I have studied all of ours, but yours will be the first new dream in many years." Standing taller, Cadian offered a smile. "The first?" He looked around at the other pods, as yet unawakened. "Yes, I am the first, aren't I? None of the others in my dream have awakened. The pale tree must have wanted to see me right away. She knew that I was special." He puffed up like a dandelion. "I am first." "No, Cadian. You are second-born," a deeper voice intoned. Malamedes was a tall, slender Sylvari with smooth hair that shone in an iridescent colour like the wings of a dragonfly. His proud bearing was that of an ancient oak, massive branches unyielding against the storm. "Second?" Cadian frowned. "Why am I second? I've awakened before the rest. We were here first."
I cannot even look at her in my current state.
My friend, you couldn't help what happened.
It doesn't matter. I failed, and therefore I am unworthy of her love. I must win back her favor.
Forget her. You'll find another love.
Don't say such things. How could I forget her when she rules my heart? I'll challenge her new love to a duel.
But you lost to him last time.
This time I'll be ready. I'll practice until my hands bleed.
Alrighty then, welcome back guys. We're here with Cauliflower, looking a little different. So, now that we're essentially done with Chapter 1, I mean, we've got to visit the Pale Tree just to conclude it. But now that we're done with Chapter 1, really, it's time for a change in outfit. So what you're looking at here is the Sylvari cultural armor. This is the first tier of Sylvari cultural armor. It's just the skins. The actual stats and stuff are the same as what we had on the previous video, but it's called the Orchid stuff when you're light armor. It's really nice. I like this set because it pulls a lot of stuff out on your back, like so. And here's a funny thing. Back when the game originally released, it was quite rare to have back pieces. They didn't come from many places and there wasn't a wide variety of them. So having this extending off the back was really kind of nice because it meant you got that extra bit of space and whatnot on the character that most other armor sets and things in the game and players didn't have access to. Since then, over the years, Guild Wars 2's filled up with lots of back slot items, and they tend to like clip with this in ugly ways now, but this will always be kind of a special set to me, just for being one of the first cool ones. And so I've also dyed it quite similar to our colors. You might find something else interesting about Sylvari cultural stuff. Apparently, some of them actually take on the... Remember we had a glow that we could select in character creation? Some of them take on the glow that your Sylvari has, so that's like a really weird quirk of armor that very little stuff in the rest of the game ever really looks at. Like, there's legendary armor that has special unique properties and whatnot, but the idea of taking your race's glow from character select and actually infusing that into the armor skin, that's kind of crazy. And apparently some of them do it.
Running all around them.
Unfortunately, not too many light armor ones, but they have it. So yeah, we're back at Mabon. There is a scout here, a Tengu scout, and any excuse to hear some real Tengu voice acting. Let's see what they say about this area of the world.
The Sauger Sword Quaggins and Hazupal Grounds Hylic are all that keep the Crate from complete dominance of Quetzal Bay. Neither can truly stand against the Crate and win. We don't interfere in the affairs of outsiders, but protecting the Bay benefits us as well. We'd be indebted to anyone who brings peace to these waters.
So if you listen really carefully there, they've got like some weird Char-style, almost post-processing on his voice that sounds like weird clattering and clacking. I think that's the idea of his beak vibrating or something. It's extremely rare to hear them actually do that in Guild Wars 2, but you hear it there. So we hear about Quetzal Bay. Now, I told you at the end of last episode we were going to talk to some guys at Mabon Market, but I kind of already explained the vast majority of it. You can hone your disciplines here. So here's a jewel smithing area and, you know, leather working and whatnot all around there. There's also some dynamic events that spawn around here with the Asura in the area. But frankly, I don't really want to spend too long at Mabon. I want to go over there to Quetzal Bay and what the Tengu was talking about. Show you the Tengu wall again.
Pleasant greeting.
Pleasant greeting to you too. So that's what we're going to do. It's like one of the coolest landmarks.
Put a flock of fireflies inside. They would be translucent and they'd light it up.
Now that is a great idea.
Are these Sylvari talking about building new areas and homes and things? That's kind of cool. It's like one of the greatest landmarks and reasons you'd ever come to Caledon Forest for me. And, you know, there are several places in Cortera that just totally blow your mind when you see them. And I really think that this is one of them. You can already see a bit of it over there. That's the Tengu wall again. But where in Keswick's Hills we just saw that small slice of it, and it did look very impressive. Here in Caledon, it's fronted against the waters. And you might have wondered that, actually, because there is a lot of, like, the Dominion of Winds, like, this southern border is, like, it's all water, so what have they done? Well, if Caledon is anything to go by, it seems they've built the wall straight through all of that as well. And here it is. Look at this thing. It's so gorgeous. There's even a bridge that takes you to it. So, we did see in Kessex there is something of an entrance to the Dominion of Winds, but really this is the main one we see here. There's been all kinds of amazing speculation and developer snippets and things over the years about the Tengu, about how really this was going to be the 6th playable race in the early days, and it might have been like a surprise one announced close to launch, but in the end they didn't have the time to do it. And to this day, they're still not playable, but they're like the main candidate for another playable race coming into this game. There have even been hints and suggestions that maybe some of the Sylvari stories that we're playing right here were originally concepts for Tengu stories, that instead, because they decided not to do the Tengu, we couldn't get any anymore. But here you go. So as we walk across this awesome bridge, I mean, I love the detail here, we do access what is known as the Dominion of Winds itself, though the Dominion's obviously behind it. And as we walk closer, you do find a bunch of Tengu. These guys are more Kuromi. And they say some stuff to us. There's even a hero challenge, so we can try this out. What do we got here? First, there's a guy called Hayato, who says, "You will advance no further. The Eyrie is off limits." So the Eyrie is like their city, their central hub of activity within there. The Eyrie as well is actually, we found another Tengu town and area of activity, settlement, in Guild Wars 1, in that island far to the south where I talked about the other Wardens and the Thorn Wolves, the other Thorn Wolves, that place, Cantha. Well, there were Tengu there as well, and they had an Eyrie. If you played Factions, you were more than familiar with that. But these Tengu here, 250 years later, in another area of the world, have named a place. Oh, this player's triggered the challenge, so let's do it. So one of the things I want to do, he's got a big badass bow, is get us some new skills. So, now that we're level 20, we've got a good choice. We can go for Signets, which we've seen on other classes. You get passives and actives. We can go for Corruptions. These are spells that do damage to you in exchange for positive effects. Kind of the Guild Wars 2 version of sacrifice abilities. We have Spectrals, which are various, like, utility skills that help to charge your life force.
Let's knock on the humongous gate door, then hide and see what they do when they open up and no one's there. Please don't talk to me for the remainder of the shift.
These guys are great. They must be so bored. So yeah, we get Spectrals. We get Wells, again, returning from Guild Wars 1. These are big ground-targeted areas. So, like, you can do tons of damage in an area, or you can heal lots of people and revive people in an area, or you can blind people in an area. And then lastly, this is the big exciting one. I want to do a really cool one. My favorite thing to do in RPGs, if I play a Necro, is this. Minions. Raising undeads to assist us on the battlefield. Now, the first one is a new heal skill. So this is Summon Blood Fiend. Summon a Blood Fiend that transfers health to you on each attack. So let's grab this, and we will summon him, and we'll use him for a little bit, and we'll slowly work through the minions, because I really want you guys to understand these. So when we summon it, in Guild Wars 1, you needed actual corpses to be able to do this. In Guild Wars 2, they did away with that mechanic altogether. So minions are quite different, really. But he can be killed and attacked. Enemies will attack him. This is how he looks. It doesn't really resemble any living creature. But he will passively just constantly do damage.
Speak with integrity.
Man, I love the way these guys speak. He will passively do damage, and he will heal us. We also, though, have an option to explode him.
Killing my minions?
It is my honor to meet you.
And we can gain all of his stuff. Look, there's another Necromancer here with other minions of their own. All right, so, yeah, let's fight the Tengu. We're on cooldown now because we just exploded the poor guy. But we will, and I mean, we got the help of all the allies. But yeah, so we got this Blood Fiend, and throughout today's episode, I'm going to slowly build up more minions as we play, which should be really quite fun, I think. So let's take him out. And the idea is we want to just swarm our opponents. You know, we want to do massive damage and just have them with a million targets to pick. That's honestly my favorite thing to do in RPGs, leveling up, really. So he says it was a good fight. He says we must learn from our defeats as well as our victories. We missed the dialogue of actually speaking to him and challenging him in the first place, but I'm sure it wasn't anything that crazy. Hayato was saying, you will advance no further, the area's off limit. Can we talk? I have questions about your kind. We say, well, what is this place? He says, this is the Dominion of Winds, our home, and it has been for 100 years. We do not welcome intrusions into our serenity. 100 years? A descendant of the venerable Silverwing led our people here through the waves of Orion corruption. We honor our ancestors by staying true to their vision. So, Silverwing, Talon Silverwing was a really prominent Tengu character from Guild Wars 1. It seems his offspring kind of shepherded these people here. Remember, the whole idea that we don't have much communication with people of the far south is because Or's in the way, and the undead swarm around the waters and whatnot. So the fact that the Tengu got past to find refuge up here really is a testament to their strength. Why can't I go in? I'd love to see Tengu ships, man. That would be so cool. You are not... So why can't we go in? What's their deal? Well, they are isolationists. I think the real reason is that developers were going to have this in the game, but then they didn't have enough time, so they cut it away because they didn't want to just swarm it all out. That's actually something I wish they'd done with other areas of Guild Wars 2, like Or itself and whatnot. I think if they'd done a little bit after release, they could have done some crazy stuff.
Wish for something? A wave of crate or a horde of undead, just to break the monotony? Have you ever faced a wave of crate or a horde of undead? No.
So this guy's quite new, I guess. I know that gate guard duty's boring, dude.
Learn to savor the monotony.
Oh, wow. He said learn to savor the monotony. Fine. So, I forget what we were saying. Yeah, why are they so isolationist? I think the real reason is that they didn't have time to put in the game. But I think that the story reason is actually quite a compelling one at the same time. They say it's because you're not one of us. I apologize for our lack of hospitality, but surely someone of your vast worldliness must understand our desire to protect ourselves. Don't you want to trade with others? He says we do trade as needed, and I mean that's what you'll find them trading when they're outside the wall. We travel out into the world to hunt our trading posts. We do not allow the world in. The weapons we produce sell well in your market, and we're happy to trade there. So, yeah, your preferred weapon is a bow, we ask? And he says, mine, yes, but we are a diverse race. The inhabitants came here from all over the world, and our clans each have their own preferences. Our weaponsmiths are quite skilled in arms. So, he's Kuromi, I guess. So that might suggest that Kuromi like bows, but other Tengu like different ones. All over the world, we ask, aren't you from Kantha? He says some of our ancestors are from Kantha, but many others came from Elona and other parts of Tyria. I mean, Tengu from Elona is an interesting idea. I don't really recall seeing any of those in Guild Wars 1. They migrated here from all over, seeking safe haven from the Great Tsunami. So yeah, like, we're at the Quetzal Bay here. Or the Quetzal Base to the north, I think, slightly. Quetzal is actually the name of a Tengu tribe, but their tribe was not from the south. Their tribe was actually from far up north of Crater, up here in what is now known as the Woodland Cascades, a place which is very little explorable, really. Yeah, in Guild Wars 1 we saw they were like green Tengu. They're my favourite type of Tengu. And even they presumably are behind the walls. So there were Canthan Tengu, all kinds. And there you go, guys. That's the Dominion of Winds, really. You're not going to see too much else on this entire series of me talking about the Dominion of Winds. Just because it doesn't have that much relevant in the plot. There will be more Tengu in the plot, and there will be things like that. But this, you kind of seen it all now. It's forever a mystery. And, I mean, there will be small things, but this is your big main look. Hopefully one day the story takes us back there. Hopefully one day they become playable. But yeah, that's all about we have to say. So,
one of the sun's great beasts has risen from its slumber. The sun must be honored through equal combat.
Yeah, this is a big event to do with the High Look. We're not going to do this.
Let those who are willing to face death on equal footing come forward, and I will arm you for the trial.
Basically, he'll transform us into a little creature if we go over there, and we will have to fight. So, but I'm not going to worry about that. We're going to go this way. I'm also going to blow up my Bone
Life
Fiend.
is fragile. Rest now.
I'm going to blow up my Bone Fiend over there, who was fighting that worm, so that we get out of combat. And we will now go back down to the Grove. So let's head on in. And indeed, we're going to go to a very special place in the Grove now. As I said at the end of the last episode, we're going to meet the avatar of the Pale Tree herself. A very reserved and special thing. So before the game came out, there were various short stories released and published about the worlds. And I haven't really read any of them to you just yet, except one. That's what you saw at the start of this episode. And it's a really interesting one to do with this character called Cadian that will, over time, as we get more of it through the next coming episodes, you'll learn just how quiet the Pale Tree is to most Sylvari. And yet to us, we have now been honored with Keith to have a meeting. So yeah, let's head on into the Omphalos chamber. And we'll get another minion while we're up here as well. We'll pretend, I don't know, that the tree taught it to us. So, hello tree. This place is quite nice, as you can see. I think we'll come up here again in a minute. Don't worry, there is some other lore. But first, what's going on here? Well, it's Niam here. Or, didn't people say that apparently this is supposed to be Irish or something, and it's Neve? You're supposed to pronounce it Neve? I got quite some judgment there for not knowing that because I'm from the UK. But seriously, just because I'm from the UK, it doesn't mean that I'd know to say Neve for that. But apparently so. In any case, the game calls her Niam, so I'll stick with that. Anyway, here she is. And here's the tree. Looks very regal, white.
Greetings, my valorous child. Keith has told me of your deeds. I'm so proud of you.
I'm honored to meet you, Mother Tree. I dreamt of a Green Knight, and when I met Bersalak, I knew I had to defeat him. Is that because of you?
No, dear heart. I do not control the dream. I am simply its caretaker.
If you will allow, Mother, we would place the helm of Bersalak within our garden. I hope it will warn others not to fall to pride and nightmare.
An excellent suggestion. Let the lesson be that strength of heart shall always overcome strength at arms.
If I may ask, Mother, in my dream, I also saw a fierce, horrible dragon. I've been told it is my wild hunt to face this monster. Is that true?
I fear that it is. A wild hunt is a sacred thing, a burden placed by the dream upon the strongest and the bravest of my children. In your dream, you fought an elder dragon face to face. Only 2 of my children have had such a dream. You and Keith. All Sylvari fight the dragon's servants, the undead, but I believe you will face Zaitan itself. I also believe you will prevail.
I understand, Mother. Thank you.
Be proud of your victory, Valiant. Until battle comes once more to challenge you, may you be at peace.
Keith, I wish for the Valiant to meet my eldest child.
Traherne has returned from Or?
Mother, is that wise? Do not question the dream. We must all play our parts.
Yes, Mother Tree. I will see that it is done.
All right, look at that. See, it took 3 episodes, but look at this. Immediately, Traherne's in the story. We're talking about fighting Zaitan. This is still technically, that's the end of chapter 1. Look at how heavily geared the Silvari are to this. So yeah, Traherne here, if you listen, that last bit of dialogue, extremely interesting. Kaith, I wish for the Valiant to meet my eldest child. So, let's rewind the clock. 25 years ago, the Silvari Firstborn emerged on Tyria. There's only a handful of them, very few. Kaith is one of them, okay? Niam is another one of them, the luminaries of the cycles, right? There aren't many. The first of all of these are known as the Firstborn. The first of the Firstborn was Traherne, the original Silvari. And so remember, at this point in the timeline, it's way before Claw Island. And at Claw Island, we heard that Traherne had just returned from Ur. But here, at the start, really, of Guild Wars 2, we hear also that Traherne's returning from Ur. So basically, Traherne's been in Ur for ages. Now he's coming home to the Grove. We're going to see what happens here. And then we know he's going to go back to Ur and then return to Lion's Arch later. So yeah, really, really cool. Let's see what Neve said. An excellent beginning, Verdant Caraflower. You will do well in Tyria. And we say, can you tell me more about the Pale Tree, please? She says, the Pale Tree is mother to all Silvari. That golden form is a manifestation of the tree herself. If she's not Silvari, what is she? I mean, in the cutscene, she said she was a caretaker. The exact mechanics operating here are kind of unknown. It's curious to think she's kind of a representation of what the form of the dream currently takes. So, like, if the Nightmare Court did well enough to corrupt the dream, would the avatar of the tree start changing? If she's not Silvari, what is she? To our knowledge, she's unique in all of Tyria, a truly wondrous creature. She guides us and shepherds the dream. This idea that she's not Silvari, like, you really want to bear in your mind, because the game doesn't emphasize it very well later, but it makes her extremely curious and strange, right? You might start wondering all kinds of things. Is she related to the human gods? Is she some kind of defense system from Tyria to fight against the Elder Dragon? Whatever she is, she's unique. She guides us and shepherds the dream. We're fortunate to have her. So I think it's implied, really, that when Kaith came into the dream at the start, she did it with the assistance of the avatar of the tree. What can you tell me about the dragon, we say? And she says they appeared... dragon. I think the idea is dragons. And she says, the dragons appeared before Silvari came into the world. The dragons are evil and wish only destruction. It's our wild... Us and Kaith. Like, this is so cool. I love this about the Silvari story. We are the only ones that have been given a freaking hunt to kill an Elder Dragon. Remember, Traherne's one is to cleanse Ur, which is where an Elder Dragon happens to be. But Kaith and me... Or that's our interpretation so far. The avatar says it's Zaitan here. So the dragons are evil and wish destruction. We say there's more than one dragon. Like, the other races don't get this. This is so important. Yes, there are other dragons. There's Primordial. We had to go to the Dermond Priory archives as a human to actually learn about this stuff. But here is the Silvari. The tree will tell us straight away. Primordus, who was the first to awaken. Zaitan, Jormag of Ice, Kraukatoric, who awoke just 5 years ago with the breaking of Destiny's Edge. Each of these dragons has awakened. Each has already brought destruction to the world. Okay, wow. So we got a hard thing to do here. What's it like to be firstborn like you and Kaith? She says, well, we are visionaries. I awakened at the zenith. Did we hear this already? I'm a warrior and defender. I founded the Wardens. Can you tell me more about them? They're honorable friends protecting the grove from any who would harm the Silvari of the Pale Tree. I think we heard that already, didn't we? And what about the other cycles? She says that they have their own interests. Okay, fine. Kaith. She says, you've done well, Valiant. We will make a formidable alliance against Zaitan someday. I mean, this makes us pretty goddamn close, right? Can you tell me more about Zaitan, we ask? And she says, the undead dragon at the heart of the cursed land of Ur. Only 2 living creatures have ever seen him. Myself and my brother Traherne. So Kaith has actually seen Zaitan. So we saw Kaith doing a lot of dragon hunting and dragon champion hunting and stuff in the novel from 5 years before. She saw Jormag, she saw Kraukatoric, but here we're learning she's actually seen Zaitan as well. So what's going on with Traherne here? Can you tell me more about him? She says, well, he's another of the firstborn. His wild hunt also draws him to Ur, though he did not dream of fighting the dragon. What did he dream about, if not battle? In his dream, he saw Ur as a beautiful land, once more green and fresh, an impossible task. Dragon corruption cannot be cleansed, we say. I mean, that's what makes the dragon such a threat. They're waking up and corrupting everything, right? So good luck to Traherne on that. Ur did sound fascinating when it was, inhabited by humans and stuff. Can you tell me more about Zaitan? Sorry, can I meet Trahearn? She says, yes, I sent him word of your dream. He's already on his way to the grove. I don't know how she did that since she only just was requested, but fine. And what about the Avatar herself, who undoubtedly will be cryptic as hell? She says, I'm so very proud of you, my child. This is only the beginning. Are you really the tree that I see all around me? Yeah, you're a representation of all this. She says, indeed, but I've manifested in this form so that you and I may speak. So in some ways they say that she is the tree. In some other ways they act like she's not. And she's not Sylvari, but she is the tree that brings the Sylvari. What can you tell me about Zaitan? Yeah, well, what does the tree know about the dragons? Well, she says that Zaitan is a powerful force of evil. You have already fought its undead minions on our shores. Evil, she calls it. Kaith and I both dreamt of fighting this horror. Will that come to pass? She says you are destined to fight for Tyria's future. Zaitan will be the largest of many obstacles, in her opinion. And as we see how the story goes, that's kind of an interesting line. Did you know that I would defeat Bersalak? Not exactly, but I knew that you could. That is the inspiration of the dream. So if we extrapolate this information over to the dragon thing, isn't there a suggestion there that she doesn't know if we'll beat the dragons? She just knows we'll face them. I heard you talking about Trahearn. What else do you know about him? He's another of my firstborn. His wild hunt, like yours, concerns the land of Or. Interesting. Thank you. So, I mean, what a fantastic, brilliant instance there. Honestly, I feel like so many of the races desperately need, like, something that clear-cut and brilliant. So, here is the Sylvari. We get that excellent through line.
Hylek, how boring.
Oh, someone was being bored by the Hylek. Now, here's another thing we can do, though. Even though it's not a part of our story, we can actually return to the Omphalos chamber and get a little bit of extra detail. So let's take this cutscene and ride on up. And what we should find here is the Ventari tablet itself. So remember, as this tree was being raised, it was being tended to by a centaur. A centaur that I guess the Avatar sort of knew intimately. But there are some villagers around. Here we see some Sylvari. Here's Corwin. My companion and I got caught in a conflict with nightmare courtiers yesterday. Fortunately for us, we got away. But Eodin was injured, so I brought her here to rest and heal. So this is his pet. This is his Sylvan Hound. This is the music up here, by the way. It's gorgeous. It's a song called Fear Not This Night. You've heard it a couple of times in the series so far. And the writers actually said that the idea of this song is I think it's supposed to be the idea that the tree is singing to the Sylvari. Anyway, Solana says, I believe Quina and I are nearly ready to leave again. Her injuries have healed enough that we can get back to adventuring. How did Quina become injured? Well, we were traveling through the forest north of here, and a tribe of evil Hylek attacked us. I think they wanted to eat her. Or perhaps they wanted to eat you, we say. And so, yeah, they're rangers that injured their pets, I guess. But if we check over here, you can see this is the tablet itself, hanging in the boughs of the tree, cradled right across from the Avatar. And we can interact with it. It says the words of the centaur sage Ventari are carved into this stone. More than a relic, the tablet is the moral foundation of Sylvari society. We can read it. And it says, number 1, live life well and fully and waste nothing. Number 2, do not fear difficulty. Hard ground makes stronger roots. Number 3, the only lasting peace is the peace within your soul. Number 4, all things have a right to grow. The blossom is brother to the weed. Number 5, to never leave a wrong to ripen into evil or sorrow. Number 6, to act with wisdom but act. That's the one we chose that we really like. And lastly, number 7, from the smallest blade of grass to the largest mountain, where life goes, so too should you. So it's like a weird encouragement. The Sylvari have just appeared. They're amassing. We don't know when they die, if they die of old age, and they're just being encouraged to spread across Tyria. It's kind of cool, right? Even a little bit familiar, maybe. So, we have another guy here. This is Parron. He says, don't mind the pups. Yeah, check it out, those little ones. They investigate things by chewing on them. These look like a healthy bunch, we say. And he says, one of the healthiest I've seen in a while. The pale tree blossomed these this morning, and have already begun their training. Soon, they'll join the others guarding the grave. So I guess night's fallen now. They've had a day to grow up. So yeah, they're very, very cute. And I don't know whether the idea is all the pups are born, like, closer to the center of the tree or whatnot, but this is just where you can learn a bit more about them. There's also this teacher here who isn't saying anything right now, might have ambient dialogue. You can be assured that it will appear, you know, at the beginning or the end of an episode if these characters do. I'm basically looking over every single piece of ambient dialogue in the entire game and picking my favorites for you guys now. Like, I'm skipping none. Every single section of every map I'm checking all the dialogue. The thing is, it's not all very well documented on the wiki yet. Even after so many years of the game being out, a lot of it's still hidden and players haven't, like, actually written down and logged, which has made this all
Seize the moment.
really kind of amazing, actually, to
May
do.
the stars guide you.
Okay, so there's 2 wardens defending the tree, and she says, "Ah, my beautiful child, it does me good to see you so well." And we say, "Mother, what can you tell me about the Elder Dragons?" She says, "I knew you'd soon bring this question to me. I wish I could be more service. My knowledge of the world does not extend deeply into the past, but I hear things from time to time." So she might not know as much as we want her to know, or she's just deceiving us. What are they saying? Well, that we are all a part of Tyria. They, the dragons, are no exception. They're older than time itself. Just as the forest fire uses its destructive force to make way for new growth, so the Elder Dragons raised Tyria. So what she's saying here completely and utterly contrasts with what she said a second ago, that they're evil. This, to me, is not evil. If they're just a force of nature and they're just burning things down as a firewood, mindlessly, destructively, then, you know, it's sad, but is it evil? So we say, but a forest fire is heartbreaking, such loss and devastation. And the tree says, birth, growth, and death. That is nature's way. It applies to the smallest worm and to our world itself. Interesting. Is there nothing we can do, we say? And she says, remember who you are and stay close to those who you love. They will soon be the only light left in a very dark world. Listen to this. This is how dark Guild Wars 2 can be. I adore this. The ones you love will soon be the only light left in a very dark world. Guild Wars 2 needs to get super apocalyptic by the end. Seriously. I will take your words to heart. Oh, isn't that intense, guys? Okay, so, yeah, and as the story progresses, maybe not for a long time now, but as the story progresses, she will continue to have different things to say to us. And, in fact, she's one of the most important characters in the entire game. Not just to Sylvari.
Lion's Arch. It's an enormous...
Oh, we already heard that dialogue. Not just to Sylvari, but all races eventually will come to her for counsel, as we will see. All right, so, okay. Now that we are done with all of that, I believe it is time to go back downstairs and speak with Kaith. So, while we do that, let's grab another minion here. The next one we get is called Summon Bone Minions. 2, plural. So, Guild Wars 1 had skills like this. You know, you'd unlock a Necromancer skill that gave you 1, or you'd unlock a skill that cost more energy, had a longer recharge, or something that gave you 2. This game functions a bit different, so there is no skill that just summons 1. You just get straight away summon 2. So here we got our Bone Fiend,
I know your fate.
which is 1. And now if we summon this, we get...
forth from death, my beauty.
We get 2 minions! These little guys down here, you recognize they look a bit like Gravelings, actually, from the Ascalon Catacombs. So that's awesome. You also notice, by the way, my Sylvari speaks when I summon minions. There's a thing in the game which is profession-specific dialogue, which is there is dialogue that triggers on your race and character that only triggers if you use a specific mechanic associated with a specific profession. So minion summoning like this and destroying minions, and when our minions die, that can trigger audio for necromancers that no other race gets. Like if you're playing a warrior, you'll never hear Cara Flower say that because warriors don't get that kind of thing, right? So it's just extra flavor for the professions. Anyway, so you get minions, and these guys turn into Putrid Explosion, which you may recognize again as a Guild Wars 1 skill. If we trigger Putrid Explosion, it will pick one of our minions and blow it up. And the explosion actually is pretty good. It's a blast, so you can combo it with things, and it does damage. I kind of wanted it to do more damage, to be honest. But yeah, so you can manually blow them up, and then once they're both dead, you wait a little while, and you can resummon again. So more minions. I'm probably not going to blow them up too much. I'm just going to keep letting them smack away. But yeah. Okay, so after the storm. Putrid Explosion is fun. I like that kind of gameplay. I wish you could trait it a bit more in this game. We will see. There are ways to. Anyway, so here we go. Back home. Is that thorn cleared? Berslak's gone? Everybody's happy? We all looking good and feeling good?
Last you returned from Ore, brother. What news?
Zaitan's power is growing, and the Risen carry its corruption throughout Tyria.
Oh, I triggered the cutscene. I don't know whether I should have done that early.
Greetings, Valiant. I want you to meet Traherne, another of the Sylvari Firstborn. Only a few of the Firstborn have wild hunts.
Oh, no! No! Oh, I messed it up! Oh, that's going to be so annoying. Okay, I messed this up. I'm so sorry, guys. Basically, a bit of behind the scenes there. I can't fix this either, so we have to keep going. Basically, I wanted to skip the cutscene. I was going to redo the whole instance for you guys and cut it out so that you wouldn't see this. And you would get all the dialogue of their conversation first, and they wouldn't be cut off. And then we'd do the cutscene and blah, blah, blah. But it turns out that the end of that cutscene just progressed our quest. So I will never be able to come back into this instance and listen to it again. So I totally messed up there, guys. I'm so sorry. That's why I pressed escape, because I was going to go to character select and come back in. I guess what we have to do now, though, we're not going to get the voice acting, but we have to read it here. This actually upsets me far more than you guys probably realize. So we're going to read here. Here's what was going on. Okay, so Keith is speaking to Traherne. And she says, at last you return from All Brother, what news? Traherne's here, and he says Zhaitan's power is growing, and the Risen carry its corruption throughout Tyria. And Keith says, as I feared, we must be ready. Ah, here comes the Valiant. Okay, and then I think the conversation would start. So, yeah, Zhaitan's getting more data. You might wonder why the tree has put us onto Zhaitan here rather than the other dragons, but it seems Zhaitan is the most active here. Anyway, so Keith says, greetings, Valiant. I want you to meet Traherne, another of the Sylvari Firstborn. Oh, man, I've just totally ruined the first time we meet Traherne. Only a few of the Firstborn have wild hunts. I'm one, Traherne is another. But I believe he carries the heaviest burden of us all. So that comes from Keith, by the way. Keith, whose job is to kill an Elder Dragon. She thinks that Traherne's hunt is harder. And we say, more difficult than fighting an Elder Dragon? And Keith says, our task is tangible, if dangerous, young Valiant. His is ephemeral. There may be no solution. And Traherne says, I'm glad to meet you, Valiant, but I'm afraid we have no time for proper welcomes. There's a more immediate matter at hand. There's a warden, Warden Tegwin. She patrols the beach at An Wen, destroying the Risen that wash in from Or. We exchange many letters on the subject. Her last missive was written during a recent storm and mentioned an Orion artifact she'd seen wash up on the beach. Tegwin said she intended to retrieve it, but since then I've heard nothing. I fear for her safety. And we say, well, I'll go and help look for her, Traherne. If she's in trouble, I'll lend her a hand. And Keith says, good, it will be useful for you to see what you're fighting, Valiant. Or is growing stronger day by day. And we say, I'm ready to witness the dragon's corruption. I'm not afraid. And we say, as soon as I know more about what's happened to Tegwin, I'll contact you. So the story is very simple. Traherne knows a warden that has been doing battle with the Risen, who found an artifact on a beach, and now the warden's missing. So we're going to help out. But I wish we'd heard him speak. I'm so sorry, guys. Anyway.
I'm pleased you're here.
I'm pleased you're here too, Traherne. So this is kind of the earliest we see Traherne in the timeline, and I skipped a part of the cutscene. Thank you, Caraflower. I appreciate your help. If there's anything you need to know, you have but to ask. And we say, well, I'm curious. Can you tell me more about your wild hunt? Well, I am challenged with cleansing the land of Or. In my dream, I saw it green and growing again. Wow, that would be very difficult. Can dragon corruption be reversed? He says, I don't know, but I must try. Every day it feels more overwhelming, but I refuse to give up hope. I mean, this is really a very, and people who have followed Guild Wars 2 for many years will truly recognize this. It's a very tragic story that the devs are writing here, and that they've given Traherne like this almost impossible task. Even if it can be cleansed, what are the odds that he'd see it in his lifetime, right? It's crazy. I mean, the Sylvari potentially could live forever if they're just safe, careful enough. That's the word. Can I ask you something else? What can you tell me about Tegwin? Well, she is so insightful. When Orion artifacts wash onto our beach, we have many discussions. Was she just curious about them? Indeed, I've become something of a mentor to her, and we share our information. Right, so she's also a bit of an Aura aficionado enthusiast. Did Tegwin tell you anything more about the artifact? Sadly, no. Only that she'd seen something unusual on the beach, and when the storm was over, she'd seek it out. Okay, I'll head out now. Keith.
The world is for exploring.
Oh, I like that. She says, thank you for aiding us, Valiant. Tegwin is an excellent warden. Her disappearance puts lives at risk. What can you tell me more about her? Well, that she's a clever strategist, an exemplary member of the Cycle of Dusk. She's a fighter and a scholar. Where was she last seen? Remember, Traherne's more of just a scholar. He's visited Or, but to study it. He doesn't fight things. She guards the beach by the hamlet of An Wen. Her partner, Karis, is still in the area. All right, I'll find her. So, we're going to find Karis, who knew Tegwin, and see if they can help us pinpoint where Tegwin has gone. And, yeah. All right, cool. So, that beach, by the way, is quite goddamn far north, up in the Caledon Forest. So, it's back to Mabon Market. God, my ability to speak has just deteriorated here. And it's north for us now, I think, with our increasingly growing army of minions. So yeah, let's just identify this. It's this beach all the way up here. Once again, there are some cool escorts we could do, by the way, as luck would have it. It doesn't seem that they're live right now, but often a lot of the chattering and things you hear of the NPCs in the area talking about those events. But okay, so another skill. Let's do it. Another minion. The Bone Fiend. Summon a Bone Fiend that attacks at range, delivers a crippling attack once every 10 seconds. So, again, in Guild Wars 1, you could get ranged minions. Most of them are the lame, and the ranged ones were actually, I believe, if I remember rightly, just in terms of raw damage, the best, because they never slowed down to move. They just stand still and attack and attack and attack. And the AI was a bit better for them. So yeah, here's the Fiend.
Your time has come again, lost soul.
He looks a bit like a Devourer. So, but you might wonder, how is what we're doing now different to what Zaitan does? And what's the difference there between necromancers in general and Zaitan's influence over the undead, and like what happens with the Risen versus our minions? And as the story goes along, they'll continue to drop hints about stuff like that, but it's definitely a thing to be wondering. But yeah, so this guy's, if you remember, the heal blows up our minion. The minions blow up the minion. But finally here we get Rigor Mortis. This does not destroy our minion. This is just immobilize our Bone Fiend, and it will immobilize our foe. So we press this and he will get immobilized and stop moving. He doesn't actually get the condition on him, but he does get an effect. And he will put the immob on the Firefly too at the same time. So what you can do is Rigor Mortis with this guy from range, and then your minions run in and you can Putrid Explosion them or something, right? So that's cool. Yeah, the escort comes all the way up here, by the way, along this road that we're walking on now. And here we can continue using our regular skills as well as our army builds up, as you can see. This is one of the ways that Necro gets even stronger. And also this Scythe, this will now bounce between us and our minions, healing them. Or this Mark of Blood, this regeneration, we can give to all of our minions. If we get all of our minions in and we drop the mark, look, I give regeneration to these guys, yeah? So you see these little synergies that are all over the place now. So yeah, we'll kill this Firefly. And continue along. That's the Dominion of Winds over there in the Tengu Wall. Here's the trading post I think that we heard them talking about. You notice some Asura here too. This is the Hanto trading post. Hello. I was wary of starting a lab at a Tengu outpost, but I must admit, they can supply some very unique research materials. Easy access to local test subjects have also been beneficial. Test subjects? We're here to study the Skrit. They're usually dumb, beastly little creatures, but in mass gatherings, they seem to exhibit intelligence far beyond that seen in most races, other than Asura, of course. So the Skrit get smarter in groups. A single Skrit is a borderline functional, but the more you bring together, the more alacrity they exhibit. My theory is that the annoying sounds they make are really super oral signals for communication. Okay, so why is here good for your tests? Well, there's a sizable community of Skrit nearby, so there are plenty of subjects, and the Tengu managed to procure some rather rare materials for us to experiment with, so it's a worthwhile location. The Tengu don't mind? Well, they don't let us stay here for free. We may have promised them to try and set up an Asura gate to help with the trade efforts, but only if our Skrit research goes well. Well, you see, this is interesting. If the Asura create an Asura gate for the Tengu, that, like, brings them into the world heavily. What are you hoping to learn? Okay, and then that's all the same thing. Oh, wait, what did they say about the chirpy buzzing sound? You mean that chirpy buzzing sound. Right. This is the Skrit, right? I hypothesized that the sound that the Skrit makes allows them to send and receive information much faster than we can speak and hear, which gives them the illusion of greater intellect, if I can figure out how to... So basically what you're learning here, guys, is that the Skrit are a hive mind race. The more you get together, the more they can communicate quick, and then they learn things. Perhaps I should have avoided Decaty's crew. She's sharp, certainly, but she somehow doesn't recognize my own brilliance. I wish Zipty ran the crew instead. Then I'd be her researcher. Okay, so, and then the Tengu are up at this trading post itself. More Kuromi. There's a trade master here. Some of them were speaking to the Lion Guard.
Don't cause trouble on my watch.
Who are communicating. So here's a guy called Saw Goldbeak. He says, welcome to Hanto Trading Post. Be sure to visit Ironshriek to see his wares. What's with the Asura? Well, they told us they would build an Asura gate here. I see no gate, and yet they continue to play games with the Skrit and drive away our customers. I would be reluctant to do business with them again. I like this. That's exactly what the Asura would do. They would be snarky, trying to, you know, act like a cut above, not caring enough about the deals that they strike. Can't you just kick them out? We struck a bargain. I will not be the one to break our deal, even if they show little interest in upholding their end. Can you tell me about the Tengu? If you are here to trade, then trade. Otherwise, please be on your way. Wow, so they don't want to talk. The trade master actually won't trade with us. funnily enough. Perhaps a mechanic that the devs were once thinking about adding, but they didn't. And then there's a Tengu trader over there that the Sylvari are marveling and looking at. Possibly some cool ambient dialogue here we may be able to listen to at some point. We obviously don't care about actually buying that armor. Because our starting very, very early level armor should do. Okay, I'm a bit scared now because we're on a crazy cliff and I did not mean to come onto this crazy cliff and I don't want to die to full damage. That's a bit of a drop. We can maybe land safely here. Oof, we took a bit of damage, but okay. Alright, so here you go. This is Quetzal Bay. And the Hylic that are hanging around here. So these are actually dangerous Hylic that we don't necessarily want to be anywhere near. So we're going to just snoop on by some scale. We're also going to try and sneak by. Let's get our last utility skill high. I know you guys are looking at it pulsing away. The last one is the Shadow Fiend. So let's summon him. Well, it's not the last one. We've got an option as well later, but here, I'll show you.
Come forth from death, my beauty.
So here's the Shadow Fiend. He runs around with us. He turns into Haunt. I love the name of this skill. I genuinely think they've wasted it, though, on this. Imagine if Haunt was an elite skill or something. Haunt is such a cool name for a skill. So it commands our Shadow Fiend to teleport and attack all nearby foes, inflicting conditions, which is blind, chill, and weakness. So remember how when we go into Death Shroud and we become ghostly, like the Shadow Fiend, our skill 2 is this, Dark Path. It teleports us in. Well, he's very ghostly just like that, right? And so he gets a similar ability. He gets Haunt. If I target this scale and I press Haunt, if you watch my ghostly guy, he blinks in. See, he just teleported across and he puts some nice conditions on. Weakness, reduces the damage they do, blind, and chill. They're all pretty good, all pretty incapacitating. So the actual skill itself doesn't really feel like haunting to me, but hey. There's a dynamic event slightly more inland to do with Hylic, but we've got bigger fish to fry. We have Karis to find to figure out what is going on with Tegwin, who's missing. So this is Anwin Beach. We're now here. There's a haven. I'm going to go to the haven first because I'm hoping that the Lion Guard have set up a waypoint we'll be able to use. Should we need to return to this area. But yeah, after the storm, this is the beach where one of the artifacts wound up. And that, guys, is actually going to be in the next part. And just to get you a little bit more excited about the next part, now that we're almost fully fledged minion monster with our army running along with us, I will note something. You know, we've been talking a lot about Ore, as though it's this distant, far away place that we're not going to see for ages and ages and ages. Well, what if I told you that if you made the right choices in the early Sylvari stuff,
there's a report of massive Hylic activity around Anwin. The hamlet may be under attack.
Okay, Caddy, but we got our own stuff going on. What if I told you you just might get a glimpse of it pretty early? So I'll see you next time, guys. Thanks very much for watching. I'll be back with Carraflower before you know it.
Grew up in Ravissoon, but I think of Lion's Arch as my home.
My mom always said home is where you've invested all your money.
I have to leave. I can't take it anymore.
I don't understand. The dream feeds us.
It doesn't feed me. It forces itself down my throat until I'm gagging on it.
But what will you do? Where will you go?
I need to find a quiet corner of the world just for me, where I have only my own emotions to deal with.
I'll be lonely.
Perhaps.
I was noticing
but
the
I
other
must
day
go.
how plants
I must
resemble
find
the
a way
body
to
part
break
they
this
heal.
curse.
Like how a slice of
The
carrot
dream
looks like an
is
eye.
not a curse.